Hey peoples, it's your girl, Sexy Sapphire, and I'm way overdue with this video. Probably another 2 weeks. I be sick. Like, I don't know how to explain it except for I get sick as shit, but that's part of being disabled. You know, I caught a cold, and I couldn't get rid of that cold to save my life. It seemed like I had it forever. It was probably about 9 days. And then after my cold, then my teeth got screwed up, and I had 2 abscesses in my mouth. And so I just been, and now it's the day after Easter, and I'm feeling a lot better. I have to apologize to you before we even get started for real. You're going to hear this beep throughout this video. You're going to have to work with me. I called and told my rental office I need them to send maintenance around, but I changed the battery in the smoke detector and it kept beeping, so I'm stuck with it beeping until they get here. So forgive me for the beep, but work with me, okay? Because I do the best I can. I wanted to get this video done while I'm feeling good enough to get it done for you. This is part 6 of the Sexy Sapphire Chronicles. And I left off in part 5 was I like girls. And towards the end of part 5, I told you that I would do part 6 and telling you more about why I'm bearing my soul on this video project. And what this video project means to me and for me. First off, I'm going to tell you that in this video, I'm going to have to talk about religion a little. And I'm going to have to mention God a little. And if God and religion bothers you, you might want to turn it off here. Because for me to tell you while I'm doing this and to explain to you how this all came together, I have to tell you about my relationship with God a little and religion. And so, for anyone who's just starting to watch this, and this is your first Sexy Sapphire Chronicle, I'll give you a quick rundown of what's going on because this is part 6. One day I sat down with my camera and I started to tell my life story. I'm telling my life story because everybody knows Sapphire and everybody knows all this stuff about Sapphire, and everyone's like, oh, Sapphire's so wild, she's this, she's that. And I keep telling people, if you think Sapphire something, you should know Melanie, because Melanie was way worse than Sapphire could ever be, because Sapphire is a controlled thing. Melanie, life is uncontrollable, and Melanie lives life, and Sapphire lives this little fantasy. She's a character. And so I wanted people to understand that way before I was ever Sapphire, I was still a person, and I had all this stuff going on in my life. I've been Sexy Sapphire, the entertainer, for this makes 8 years. But I've been I've been in the adult industry for 17 years this year. This is nothing new to me. This is some old stuff, you know. I've been through a whole lot in my life. A whole lot. And it comes a time when you got to stop and evaluate everything so that you know how to move forward. Give me 1 second. I know. I'm the only bitch that do a video blog and tell y'all I'll be right back. It's alright. I came right back, didn't I? So, anyway, what happened was I was going through a transition last year. It probably started in about, really started about January last year. Not really going to go into all of what it was, but I was going through a transition. My life was changing in ways that I didn't want to control. Of course, we have control over any situation. We don't always want to make the decisions that they're there to make, but when we fail to make a decision, decisions are made for us. So my life was going through some transition, and I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do that was going to work with what I wanted to do. You know, it was more so, these are my options, but none of them work for me, so what the fuck am I going to do, you know? And while weighing out my options, I let all my options get too far out of control. So when I turned around, these options were no longer there, and it was like, okay, I'm fucked, now what, right? And so like we all do, I turned to God. I prayed, I said, God, what do you want from me? Yeah, I'm trying so hard. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm working. What do you want? And I didn't get an answer, or at least not the answer I was looking for, not the answer I wanted. So I probably did get an answer, but I ignored it. And so what happened was in May of last year, April of last year, going into May, I found myself homeless. And I was homeless for the month of May 2013. Now when I say homeless, it's not like, oh, I was sleeping on the street. I had a place to stay. I was in a nice house. I was taken care of. But I didn't have my own place. I was sleeping somewhere where I didn't feel 100% comfortable, even though there was nothing exactly wrong. I was in a place I didn't want to be. And I prayed a lot then. I was praying a lot still. I was reading my Bible. I was going to church like supposed to be. And I was frustrated, I was frustrated. One day I was in church. And it was a Sunday I didn't want to go. Let me tell you what happened this Sunday. The person I was staying with was being an asshole. They had did something dumb that Sunday morning and tried to frustrate my Sunday. And then after they tried to frustrate my Sunday, I said, I'm not going to let this bother me. I'm not going to let this get me down this early on a Sunday morning. So I put on the song Joyful, Joyful by Lauryn Hill and the cast from Sister Act. And I listened to that probably about 3-4 times on repeat. And just, sung the song and, gave God the glory in the middle of my frustration. And when we went to church that morning, I walk in church and I'm in my pew, with my son and my stepmother. And I don't remember if my other people that sit with me were there that day, but I'm in my pew. And the choir comes to march in. And that processional song is Joyful, Joyful. And I know that God is talking to me. And so it's youth day. And so we had some guests come in to sing. We had a youth choir come in to sing for us. And these kids, they were like teenagers and high school and college students. These kids, they were so talented. And they're singing. It touched me in a place that I can't even explain to you right here as we talk. But it touched me in a way that I had never felt. And I started to cry. And I started to pray again. And I told God I couldn't do it no more. Like, I just can't. I cannot do this. And I asked him, if I take this next step, will you lift my foot for the other one? Because I can't do this without you. Like, real shit. If you're not going to walk right next to me right now, I'm ready to quit. And what happened next fucked my head up for the next 8 months, 9 months. What happened next was kind of incredible. It was like God sat down next to me. I felt him. I felt his presence. I felt him as clearly as I can put my hand on this soda bottle and feel this bottle. And he sat down next to me. And he talked to me. And he told me what he could do for me. And what he would do for me. But what he wanted from me. And I told him it was too much. I couldn't do that. He told me that he didn't put me through all the things he put me through for nothing. He told me that he didn't give me this story and this testimony for nothing. He told me that he put me through the things he put me through so that I would be ready to take on the mission that he had for me. And I wasn't ready to hear that. I wasn't. I didn't want to hear it. And I didn't want to do it. Because he told me that he wanted me to tell my story. And he wanted me to tell people what he had done for me in the middle of all these things that I had been going through. And I'll tell you, you know, volumes 1 through 5, I've told you about my life. And I'm going to continue to tell you about it. But he told me to tell y'all that through all of that, that I was still here. And not only am I still here, I'm still thriving. In the face of all adversity. Even when I thought he wasn't there. He never left my side. He never left my side. In fact, half of the things that I thought were hurting me, he was using them to bless me with a strength that would help me to get to where he wanted me to be. He would give me a story. He would give me a backbone. He would give me character. He would give me faith. He would give me hope. He was giving me all the things that I always said I didn't get at home. I got them at home, just not from my earthly parents. I got them from him. And he told me that if I told my story, and if I did what he asked of me, and help other women like me, that I'll be more successful as Melanie than I ever was as Sapphire. He told me some things, and I'm not going to share all of it because it was his personal message to me. But he told me some things that made me understand that my life has a purpose. And that purpose is to share my story. Just that simple. My purpose is to share my testimony and to tell you what God has done for me. When I started the Sapphire stuff and I became popular, nobody understood when I would tell them that I was popular as Sapphire because that's what God planned for me. When I used to say that, I didn't think in correlation to this is what he wanted me to do. But I knew that nothing could have went so well, so perfect, so organized unless it was by God's design, because I haven't put any real work into being Sapphire. I never have. When I started this, I didn't know nothing about a computer other than how to use Microsoft Office. That's it. I didn't know how to, I didn't know shit about the internet. The only thing I did was play games on Yahoo. It's 2014. I got started modeling in late 2006. I've never been to a model call. Ever. I've been in 27 magazines. I don't compete. Like, I've never been to one of the model casting calls or any of that stuff. I don't know what them stuff are like. I don't know. I don't go to parties. I don't go to clubs. I don't go to networking events. I don't know people. I didn't know anybody in the business when I started. I've never had sex with a porn star on camera. Only my 2 boyfriends, yet I'm recognized like a porn star for some reason. The fans and attention that I gained through doing the simplest things lets me know that it was destined to be, because I didn't have to work hard for it. I just had to stay consistent at it. I just had to put my foot in the ring, and the rest of it just happened. So I understood that nothing like that would have ever went so perfect unless it was God. What people don't realize is I started my first Facebook page as Sapphire in June of 2006. I think I had my first photo shoot as Sapphire in August of 2006. In September of 2006, my job went out of business. On a Friday was my last work day. On a Monday, I was in Virginia staying with a guy who took me to dinner with a millionaire my first night in Virginia. I stayed with him for a few days. I came home in December. I was on my first plane trip. I had never met the man that I was getting on a plane with until he picked me up from the airport. We had talked online. We talked on the phone. But he picked me up at the airport to drive, to go, excuse me, to BWI, to fly to Colorado, to go be on stage with Young Buck and Lil Scrappy, VIP at the after party, all this shit in December of 2006. I didn't know nobody. I didn't know nothing. I just stuck my foot in the ring. I wasn't even that pretty back then. Like, not my pictures wasn't, I was pretty, but I didn't think I was pretty. But my pictures wasn't even pretty back then. Like, I never understood how my shit started popping the way it did. In January of 2007, we were back in Colorado. I'm staying at the fucking Broadmoor, which is the most exclusive resort in fucking Colorado. It's like, the shit just happened. You understand? I used to be a girl just playing on my webcam. And so one day my fan, Dave down in Atlanta, said to me, well, Queen, you know you can make money doing what you do on webcam. And I said, I can? He said, yeah, it's people that pay for that. And he turned me on the Rude. And so I started my first Rude page. I started my Rude page back in 2007. And the minute I started that, checks started coming. Like, nothing that I ever had to, I didn't have to work hard at this sapphire thing. I need y'all to understand that. Like I told y'all, I studied acting, so being your fantasy was easy. I'm a nerd, so learning the computer shit and learning how to run my own websites and all that shit came easy. Making people all the way around the world think that I was pretty when I didn't even think I was pretty. I don't know how I pulled that off. That was God. That wasn't me. Like, so anyway, back to the story. That was in May of 2013 that God told me He wanted me to tell my story, and I couldn't. Like I went over it. You know, at first I got excited about it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and I started trying to wrap my head around it, and then I said, no, it's too much, because I'm gonna have to get too personal. I'm gonna have to tell y'all about the real me. Like, I can't sit down and tell y'all a bunch of sapphire shit and tell you my story. I have to tell you about Melanie. I have to tell you that while sapphire might not sell ass, Melanie used to. I gotta tell you that I used to be a hoe. I gotta tell you that I fucked for my prom dues and for my prom clothes. I gotta tell you that I've slept with so many men. I don't know how many it is. I just know around what the number is, and I never tell nobody. You know, I have to tell you about my rape. I have to tell you about me being molested. I have to tell you about how bad it was growing up at my house. I have to tell you about the abandonment. I have to tell you my story so that you can understand that I come from the gutter. And that don't mean shit. That you can still become anything and anybody, no matter where you come from, no matter what you've been through. So what? They say you too fucked up. I'm legally disabled. I'm too fucked up to do a lot of things. But I'm not too fucked up to continue to live life and be happy. I'm not too fucked up to tell you my story, and I'm not too fucked up to encourage the next person to understand that you might be in some shit that you feel stuck in. But there's always a way out. There's always a way out. I'll tell you another way God moved in my life that you didn't know it was God moving, but you saw Him move in my life. When I announced in December of 2010 that I was no longer going to record sex or blowjob videos, Everybody thought I was going to fall off. They thought that was it for me. Because that's where my money come from. Like, real shit. That's where my money was coming from. And I was already to the point where I was damn near totally disabled. I couldn't do that shit like that no more anyway. And it's like, if I can't even do this and I can't do the webcam shows like I used to, where's my money going to come from? But I couldn't worry about where my money was going to come from. I had to worry about doing what I felt in my heart. And in my heart, I couldn't do that no more. I was ready to be done with having sex on camera and sucking dick on camera. I was ready to be done with it. Whether I still, masturbate on camera or not, that's something totally different. And at the end of the year, I'm done with that. But at that point in 2010, I just couldn't continue to do what I was doing. And I had no clue where my money was going to come from, and how I was going to live and feed my son. I wasn't disabled back then, so I wasn't getting my check. I just knew I couldn't do that no more, But what you didn't know is when I made that decision and made that announcement in December 2010, I got baptized in December of 2010. I gave my life to God in December 2010. And then I made that announcement that I can't have sex on camera no more. And I can't be doing these blowjob videos no more. Like, I have to start working my way out of the porn business. In December 2010, that's when I made my decision to start working my way out of the porn business. So for the last 2 years, I've been working my way out of the adult industry. It's not like I could just stop, but I could work on that transition. You dig me? And so I have been. And so you watch me go from that chick to modeling for real. I started taking my modeling seriously. I had never been in a magazine before 2010. Now at the beginning of 2014, I was able to tell you I've been in over 27 magazines. I'm on the cover of a book. I'm writing for magazines. I made that transition happen, and it's possible. My whole life growing up, that's all I wanted to do was write. I would have never thought that I'd be able to get my writing into magazines and for have people reading my words in print and online and people waiting to read my words. I never would have thought that I'd be working on a book and it would be possible that it's going to get published. But God gave me Sapphire. And see, what he did tell me is that he didn't give me Sapphire for nothing. He gave me Sapphire to build this platform. I collected all these fans and these viewers so that I can continue to show you who I really am and to tell you about me. And I've never let you get caught up in the fantasy of Sapphire. I've always told you there's a real person behind her, But that's why I'm telling you my life story now. I'm telling you my life story because it's destined. It's ordained. God told me to. He said it's time. He said that my story is going to save somebody else. He told me this. He told me that my story is going to help someone. And so I have to tell my story. It could be you. It could be you watching this and listening right now, and you going through some stuff, and you think that your life is never going to work out, and that it's never going to get better because it's been bad for so long. And I'm telling you that the Bible said joy comes in the morning. And it does. It takes a hell of a long time sometimes. But if you pick up your Bible, you'll see that's history. Sometimes things take a long time to happen. But they happen. Because the only thing God can't do is fail. You just got to turn to him. And you got to listen to him. Because I didn't want to tell you my story. So even after April, or May last year, when he told me to tell you, and at first I got excited. And then I said I can't because I had to tell you all my business. And when I said no, I started to back away. And I ignored the project. I said I'm not doing it. And then he started bombarding me with women like me. Like I started meeting girls who had a story to tell. And then I realized that it's not even just about me. Because not only am I going to tell my story, but eventually I'm going to help other women share their stories. I see a future that I didn't see. And I understand some things that he wanted from me and what he wanted for me. And it's funny because he doesn't want me to stop being Sapphire. He just wants her to give him the glory. And she will. She will. You know, it's kind of amazing how he works in your life when you're not looking for him and you're not expecting him to. But he has done so much for me. He really has. Because I should be dead. Y'all know. If you listen to 1 through 5 already, you know I should be dead by now. I should be fucked up. Excuse me. A lot of people like me are fucked up. They strung out. They don't have their lives together. They not half as stable as me. But God got me. He always got me. He'll never let me down. How? He doing some stuff in my life right now that I find totally unbelievable. But, you know, that's not for this video. But he doing some stuff in my life right now that's just totally unbelievable. But I worked hard. I worked hard and I started to listen. And once I started to tell my story and do these video blogs, I saw changes started to happen in my life. I didn't want to do these video blogs because I wasn't ready, I thought. You know, like I said, when I did part 3 or 4, one of them sent me to the hospital, or part 4. Part 4 put me in the hospital, remember? You know? So, you know, I felt like I wasn't ready. But he know better than I do. And I took my sweet little time doing it, and nothing got better until I started working on it. Once I started working on it. And so, you know, I'm going to share my story. I'm going to tell you about myself. And volume 7 is up next. And when we do volume 7, Lord, what should I tell you about? There's so much more of Melanie. Volume 7, how about we do school days? How about I recap some of the highlights of me back in school and tell you that's going to end up being like a 2-parter probably. But we'll do school days, and I'll tell you about, you know, some of the things that I did in school, and some of the things that I got into, and the schools I got put out of, and things like that, you know. We'll do school days. What do you think? Man, it's a beautiful day outside. It's the day after Easter. It was a beautiful, beautiful weekend. The weather was so nice, and I'm feeling so much better today. I've been so sick, and I'm just glad that I had the chance to sit down with y'all today and get back to you, let you know what the hell is going on. Because I know y'all felt like I was gone, but